Hi everyone, this is Sol again. This is the third tutorial in the environment creation series, and today we are going to be talking about light mapping. You can have the lighting baked as kind of the lower resolution texture, and that gets multiplied over tiled textures. So here I brought in some materials from Polygon that have like normal maps and stuff. Now, those normal maps aren't going to end up getting into frame, but they are going to affect the way that the lighting in the scene um, gets baked to a light map. So I wanted to kind of show that. Um, so yeah, like I said, we're not going to actually be exporting the normal maps or anything. We're just using those to kind of get the lighting information from them, bake that to a texture, and then we'll only export the image, the like color images as the tiled textures. All right, so let me show you how you set that up. Here's the texture for our plants. I'm not going to include the plants in the light map because they already just have their own separate texture, and it's not tiling, so we don't really need a light map on them. Now for everything else, we are going to use a light map. And we're going to be consolidating these materials into a vertex color material that gets multiplied by the light map also. And one nice thing about light maps is that you can go pretty low resolution on them and still have them look relatively good. So I'll show you, at a few different resolution levels what the light map looks like. All right, so let's go into the material. So these are brought over from Polygon. So they're kind of, they've got their custom nodes in here, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to add in a new image texture node. Make a new texture. For the first one, I'm going to do 1K, just so you can see what that looks like. Let's see, we'll call it light map. Let's spell that the right way. Okay, and we don't need any alpha on that. Okay, so we're gonna copy this image and put it inside of all of our other materials in here, making sure that it's the active image. Now on these ones I guess I'll just leave it for now and make sure that you have the right image selected. I've noticed that sometimes it doesn't automatically, like, even though it looks like it's selected when you copy it in, it isn't, so you might want to just double check, make sure that it is the active one by deselecting and selecting it. I'm not 100% sure if that's actually necessary, but I remember having some issues with it before. So just in case, I think there was one or two that I didn't do that on. I don't think I did for the first one. This one. Okay. So now we have that light map texture selected in all of our materials. And I only have one object here. I've joined everything just to make it more simple. If you have a lot of objects in your scene, you have to like select all of them individually, make sure that you have everything that you want baked selected all at once. and dealing with the UVs of everything all at once is kind of a hassle. So I just combine them all into one, and that also lowers the draw calls. So win-win, easier to deal with and more performant. Okay, so now I'm gonna do kind of like a test bake real quick. And cycles, GPU compute. I'm gonna do just 100 samples to start with. You can do lower if you want. If you have a slower computer, you might want to do it lower just to test it out. I'm gonna do a diffuse bake, and I'm not going to bake color to this. So let's try this out. It's gonna go really quick. Oh, wrong UVs. Okay, so see, if I'd done a longer sample bake, then I would have found that out too late. All right, so I'm gonna set up. This is what I want to render from. So I have the camera icon selected on this UV layer, and then I have this one as the active selected UV layer, so that it's going to bake to these UVs. Now bake. There we go. That looks a lot better. It doesn't look, oh yeah, I forgot. It does not bake. I'm gonna have to redo this. Let's see. So I'm gonna redo the UV. I'll show you how to do the UVs on it too. Okay, so generally for tests here, and sometimes it's perfectly fine even for the final. I'll just do a smart UV project. And yeah, that should be fine. And then I have UV pack master, so I'm gonna pack them. Just get more out of the texture space there. And now it should be ready. Okay, bake. All right, that looks pretty good. So now that that has done finished baking, I am going to go into the compositor. Actually, first of all, I'll just set it up so we can see how it looks raw. Lightmap. Okay, I'm gonna copy that and paste it in here. All right, and I'm going to hide this. The original building. Oh, what's going on? Okay, hide that. Oh, 3 different versions of it. I do not want that. Okay. Delete. Okay. Now to preview this, I'm going to delete all the materials on it. I'm gonna create a new one, call it Lightmap. Get rid of that. Image texture. Probably could have just pasted actually. Let's see. Nope. I'll search Lightmap. There we go. And I will have to set the, I'll show you how to do this too. UV. There we go. All right, so there's that texture applied. This is just the lighting data. And now this is a pretty low resolution image. So we're getting some bleeding from some areas where the texture didn't get baked as well. If we did this at a little higher resolution, we would get a better result. But we can also throw this into the compositor and denoise it in there. But I'm actually gonna run this. I'm gonna increase the resolution of this real quick. Resize. I'm just gonna multiply it by 2, get 2048. Okay, and then we're gonna rebake to this. So I'm gonna disable this in rendering. And in the viewport for now. And I'm gonna rebake this. All right, now that finished baking. Now let's check it out on the Lightmap model. See, so now you can see that this Lightmap is taking the normal information and using that for the lighting, and so we actually get lighting as if there was actually higher levels of geometry here. So this is pretty cool, because then you don't actually need to export the normal map to get some of the lighting kind of baked into it. Now you can also do that with baking the color data to the texture as well, but then you're limited by the resolution of your texture atlas. And so with this method, you can have just a 2K texture for the light map, and then, or a lot of the time we do a 4K texture for the light map even, and then you multiply over your image textures, your tiling textures, and your tiling textures can be pretty low resolution since you're tiling them. If you're doing it enough times, then it can look like it's pretty high resolution, and you just get the lighting data that's multiplied over, and the lighting doesn't have to be as high resolution to still be convincing. So I'm going to go into the compositor, and something is weird with the compositor right now. I've never seen that. But let's grab the light map, and we're going to denoise that. It does it automatically if you do a combined bake, but that does not work when you're only doing the lighting. All right, so you can see that kind of got rid of a lot of the detail, but it's going to give us an idea of what we've got here. Everything's looking pretty good on here. that doesn't look so great. I might go a little bit higher resolution. Resize. I'm gonna do 4K here. And I am going to rebake. Alright, so I did a 4K bake, and you can see I got quite a bit of detail. It's looking pretty nice. So now I can show you what it looks like when we multiply this with the tiling textures. So let's hide this, bring this back. Okay, so I'm going to start with the tiles. And get a color, mix color node. And we're going to set it to, here, let me open this window a little bit more. I'm going to set it to multiply and put the factor to 1. And we're going to put the light map in here. As well as the base color. And I'll have to define our UVs, because the light map is using the second UV set instead of the first. Alright, so here we can see that it's being multiplied, it's changing the shading, but it's kind of dark, right? So if we want to improve this, I am going to increase the brightness of the base texture. So I'm going to do a hue saturation value. I'm going to increase the value of the underlying texture. That gets us closer to what it looks like when it's being rendered. Now what will also give us a better idea of what it's going to look like is going into the compositor and denoising this again. This time I'll save this image. Since this is 4K now, it should be a little bit better than the last time we did this. It should retain some more of the detail. And if not, I will do a longer, higher sample bake. we go. So that's pretty good. Now obviously it's gotten rid of some of the detail there, but for the purposes of this video, I think this is pretty good. We're gonna check it out and see. I'm gonna save this. Lightmap 4K denoised. So now I can switch over to Lightmap 4K denoised. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Got pretty good shadows. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to open up this node group here so that I can get the color texture out of it. I'll just copy this and hit tab to get out of there. And I'm gonna bring that over here. And I believe I had that set to 5. Yeah, that looks right. So that's without the light map. That's with the light map. And we can do the other way around too. See, just the light map, and then with the texture. All right, so now I want to check out those tiles color texture. I think that's a 4K texture also. So I'm going to reduce the size of this. Resize. I'm going to try just 1K. See how that looks. Let's see if we have the right one. Alright, so I can see that that's lower resolution now. But so that's a 1K texture, and it's just repeated several times across the ground there. And so it looks higher resolution than it is since it's tiling. Tiles are really great for tiling textures, since they're intended to repeat a pattern. So it's and especially with these ones, it's kind of hard to pick up. I mean, you can see the repetition, but it's not bad. I think it looks pretty good. With the lighting overlaid, it's even harder to see the pattern. So now we'll do the same thing with these rocks. I'm gonna grab the denoised version here. And then open up this node group. Sorry, I've got this so small. Grab that image texture, tab to get out of there, and then paste it. Comes over here. Just gonna move these nodes. For now, I don't need them, but I'll keep them around just in case I want to rebake anything. Mix color. Back to 1. Set to multiply. And stick that right in there. Oh yes, and then we also need the UV node. Bam. Alright, so now that's got its lighting. Oh, you know what? I need Control T to bring in the mapping node. Let's see what I have this set to. I have it set to 1.4, so I gotta do 1.4, 1.4. Alright, now it lines up with the lighting on there. Now you gotta make sure that the lighting or the light map matches up with the texture. Since I had this scaled in this node, I had to apply the same scaling as when I baked. Okay, so that's looking good. It's a little dark, so I think I'm also going to increase the brightness. Nope. Choose saturation value. I think value and brightness are about the same thing. Okay, I think that looks good. Now I'm actually going to save the updated texture here. I'll also resize this, I think. Let's find this texture. It's cobblestone path, color 4, okay. There we go. Resize this. I'll try to. Oh. Just do 1K on this one. And yeah, that doesn't look too bad. So I might bring it up to 2K since this one isn't tiled as much as the. Let's see, resize. Just gonna divide by 2. All right, I think that looks better than 1K. I think we'll be able to get that file size down pretty low anyway. Now in the compositor, I'm going to do this same thing. I'm going to increase the value and then save this as a new image for both of these textures here. But I guess first I'll also do this to this texture, plaster texture. So I'm going to go back in here to that custom node, Control C, tab out of it, Control V, move it over here. Move these guys out of the way because I don't need them right now. Let's see. Oh, and that's just a scale of 1, so we're good there. Add that mix node, mix color. Drag both the image textures in. Set the factor to 1, mix to multiply. I know I could be copying those nodes from others, but and then getting the light cap 4K denoise. There we go. And this texture, I don't actually feel like it needs to be much brighter. I think that looks pretty good. So I might just leave this one as it is. Now I will probably resize this. Let's see how big this one is. That one's plaster. So plaster. Oh yeah, it's 2K, so that's not too bad. Let me check. Yep. Okay. So we've got our plaster, our tiles, and our cobblestone materials all being multiplied by the light map. Now I just do that to in Blender to like have a visual of basically what it's going to look like. We actually do the export a little bit differently, but I'll show you that when we get around to it. Okay, now these materials only had single colors that were in their own materials over here. Not best practice, but that's what I did. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to combine all of these color materials into a single vertex color material, and then that will get multiplied by the light map also. So what we are going to do is we're going to go into edit mode, And I'm going to be in face select mode, and I'm going to select this. And in the selection modes up here, I'm going to do select similar material. I think you can also do that over here just by selecting in the material panel. You can do select by material. And that allows me to mask this selection, and let's see, I also have this open, the material open. And so let's see, I've got to make sure that, okay, that's good. All right, we're going to go into vertex paint mode and go to paint mask for the faces that are selected in edit mode. And wait. Okay. Oh, because these legs were also selected. It seemed to me like that part was too, but it isn't. Okay. So now we can use the eyedropper tool to get the color from our material over here. And then I just set vertex colors, and bam. Automatically sets the vertex colors of everything with this material. Now I'm going to switch over to another material and go back into edit mode and hit select. I guess we'll deselect everything else and then hit select. Now we've got that selected. We can go back into vertex paint mode and eyedropper tool that color from the material and then set vertex colors, and bam. Now if you go into flat shading, you can see that it's actually the same color. All right, then back into edit mode, select, deselect everything, then select. Now go back into vertex paint mode. I'll get that color. You get the idea. Set vertex colors, edit mode, go here, deselect everything and select only that stuff. Does anything have that material? It looks like nothing has this material, so just get rid of that one. Tab out of edit mode and delete that material. All right, so now all of these objects here or all the faces in this object that have the correct vertex colors applied. Now what we're gonna do is select. Now we've got all those materials selected, and I'm going to delete those materials. Bam. Oh, not that one. Start from the top. All right, and add a new material. And this one I'm just gonna call vertex colors. All right, and I'm going to delete this principled shader and just add in you can search for vertex color. And let's go out of vertex paint mode and into material preview. Now let's go back into edit mode and assign that material, and we're going to select our color here. Input color attribute. Is that the new? Okay, so you can't use the vertex color node apparently. Only the color attribute node. Good to know. So now we've got that, and only one material. That was 3 materials, now it's just 1. And we can now multiply this by the lightmap. So texture, image. Actually, I'm gonna go over here. Save you guys the pain of watching me do this again. And select all these nodes and copy and paste. Nice. Now we've got that lighting multiplied over our vertex color material. That looks really good. Sweet. So now let's get this exported to frame. I know this isn't perfect because some of these smaller UV islands didn't get denoised very well. But if you run into those issues, that just means you need to do a higher sample bake. You'll get a better quality if you don't use the denoising and just do higher samples. Now that can take a really long time on a lower quality computer. I mean, even on the one that I have here with a 3080 GPU, 3080 mobile, it's not quite as good as the 3080 desktop, but even on this one, doing a lot of the time we do like 10,000 samples for the final render, for the final bake, and that could take a very long time on here, like 6 hours or longer. And sometimes we use a virtual computing platform. What we use is Xesktop, Xesktop.com. I can put a link in the description, but we use that to do final bakes a lot. And usually if the lighting and things are pretty simple in the scene, you can do a 10,000 sample bake on one of their virtual machines in about 20 minutes. That's been the average for like a 4K texture at 10,000 samples. So a really big time saver. And the prices are not actually that much. So yeah, you should check that out if you need to do kind of higher resolution, high sample bakes and don't want it to take forever on your own personal computer. All right, so now we're gonna prep this for exporting. Now we already have our lightmap saved, but we're probably gonna need to compress this a little bit. And also the image textures, we're gonna probably need to compress those too. So I'm gonna take this, save as, and go into my textures folder, and yeah, save it as a JPEG. 75% is usually good, and go. And then I'm gonna get my cobblestone color. Let me make sure this is the right one. Yep, 2K. And then, oh, that's right. I need to apply this same value change. So I'm going to go into the compositor and do this. Going to get rid of this denoise node, add in a hue saturation value, just because that's what I used in there in the material. I'm going to open up cobblestone color and set the value to 2. There we go. There it is. I'm going to save this as a JPEG also because it saves a lot of space. I'll do 80%. And I'm not going to save it as that. I'm going to save it as cobblestone. Come on. Oh my gosh. Cobblestone color. Let's see. 2K. Yeah. Cobblestone color 2K JPEG. And there we go. And now we're also going to do that for the tiles. So tiles, that should be it. Okay, and this one's just 1K. And let's see what we set that to in the material. Let's go to the tiles. And yeah, the value is 2 in here. Is that what I set this to also? Yep, okay, so both of them were set to 2. Alright, so now I'll save this as JPEG. And this hex tiles color 1K. And yeah, let's do that. All right, let's open up that folder and just check out the file sizes there. Oh. Details. Yeah, so that's pretty good. The Lightmap is a PNG and it's 15 megabytes. Now we can lower the size of that. I'll save this as a JPEG and we'll get much better file size from that. So we'll go back in here and gonna get the Lightmap, the denoised one. Image save as, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG with the same name. Okay. Go back here. See, now it's just 1 megabyte, 1.8 megabytes. All right, so that's all of our textures. Now what we need to do is for the export here, we need to actually get rid of, oh, let's see. So I need to take the way that we upload these into Frame is we take that's the cobblestone. We take the lightmap and upload it as a separate file. So in your materials in here, you should not include the lightmap. Now, the only things that will be included in the materials are the things that are plugged directly into your material output node. So all the other nodes that are floating around in here, it'll disregard them. So you don't even have to worry about that. Now I'm going to make sure that I get my edited images in these materials. Gonna this file and original location. Okay, and then I will get our new one right there, brighter. Then I'll go over to the tiles. Also do that, just plug this directly into the material output. And I'm going to open up and get the hex tiles, bam, brighter. And then I'll do the same thing. Actually, the plaster is this, no, it's a different image texture, so we'll do the same thing for it too. So save it as a JPEG. I think it's different. All right, so those are the only things. See, we need the scale to be the same as it was when we baked it. So you have to have your texture mapping nodes. Let me move these out of the way. Texture mapping nodes plugged into your color texture. And we have that for all of these. I know this is kind of messy, but it works. All right, so we've got the values, the scale values that we baked at in here. And by default, Frame will use the first UV map for your tiled texture layout, and then the second UV layer will be the light map. So you want to have two layers. You're gonna do the UVs for the tiled textures, and then the UVs for the light map. And we have that set up. So now let's see, we have to do the last material, which is the vertex color material. And for that, we're just gonna plug the vertex colors straight into the material output. And these will keep their texture here, their material. All right, so now I should be able to just select all of this and export. All right, I just redid the bake, and I'm going to show you how to export this and import it into Frame. So I'll make sure that everything that I want to be exported is visible, which are just, a few things like the plants and chair transforms and easy panels and stuff, and the main environment, which is just one object. And so I will hit A, select all of these things, and yeah, I don't want that sun lamp in because I don't want extra lighting calculations because I already have all that baked in. And now I will export this. Now the naming for this, we're gonna have to do it double underscore LM on the GLB. And we are only exporting the tiled textures right now, not the lightmap. So all the materials just have the tiled texture that I want going into the material output right now. All right, and I also have the lightmap that we're going to use also needs that double underscore NM or LM. Let's see, so that was this one right here, and it already has the name right, but I need to save this as a JPEG, so I'm going to do that real quick. Which that one is right here, and I'm going to do image, save as JPEG, and that should be good. All right, now I will go into frame. And I will upload custom environment right here. It's in the frame settings, upload custom environment. There's that, environment tutorial 3 underscore LM and tutorial 3 lightmap 4K 2000 samples. Okay. Hey, there we go. So now this environment has lighting overlaid, over some tiling textures, and we're getting some pretty good resolution on these textures since they're tiled multiple times in the same space. So I think this one, the tiles on the floor, is just a 1K texture, and I think I left this one at a 2K. And I think the plaster is also 2K. I have to double check on that, but yeah, that is light mapping. You get a lot higher texel density with light mapping than you do with just combined bakes. Now, something that you want to be careful about is if your textures are really dark, they won't really show the light map very well because it's just a multiplication. So, you know, if you have a value of 0 and then you multiply that by 1, it's 0 still. So if you have like if your light map has a value of 1, so like, you know, fully lit, as bright as it can be, and then you're multiplying that by like a black texture, then you're just still gonna have black. So earlier we brightened up some of our image textures, and that's why, because the brighter your images are, the more dynamic like range you can get with a light map. Yeah. Looking pretty good. And now you could get away with having a lower resolution light map than this also. I did it higher resolution because I wanted to get the like kind of shadows on the rocks from those normal maps that are on here. Like I could show like a side-by-side Blender versus frame right now with the light map applied. So here's that like same section. See, it looks super flat here, and then frame, and bam, it's got some depth to it. And same with the tiles here. It might be kind of subtle, but I think it adds a lot to it. So yeah, that is light mapping in Frame. Hope this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.